It's kind of like a pulsing noise, almost like a sonar ping.
Yeah, I'll do it one more time, and I'll let y'all scratch your heads and see if you can figure out what's going on. Here we go. All right, over to you. Tell us if you figure it out.
Yep, good recording. Thanks, Butch. We will pass it on to the team and let you know what we find. And Butch, just to make sure I'm on the same page, this is emanating from the speaker in Starliner. You don't notice anything else, any other?
Live from New York, Brooklyn, it's Ask an Engineer.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Ask Engineer. It's me, Ladyada the Engineer. Like Phil said, we are broadcasting live from Brooklyn. That's where we moved to, both in body and spirit.
Yes.
Mr. Lady and I are going to be doing the next hour of Ask Engineer, where we get to tell you what's going on in all of the maker community, hacking, coding, software, new products, lots of coming soons, Python updates, INMPI, and more. We're getting back in our groove, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, we have like 10 top secret products. We've got a bunch of news. We got some announcements. We're back.
We're back, baby. So let's kick it. Tell them what's on tonight's show.
On tonight's show, the code is PyPico, 10% off in the Adafruit store. Guess what? We got these in stock.
They're in stock right now.
Right now. And you can get a discount.
And 10% off.
Yeah, all the way up to 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or until I remember to turn the code off.
Okay.
We're going to talk about some of our live shows, including Show and Tell, which we just did. A little bit of recap from Desk of Ladyada, including the Great Search. We have JP's product pick of the week. We're going to be doing some time traveling, going back in time, present, then to the future, what's going on in the world of electronics and makers and more. We got some Adafruit factory footage. We just painted some of our new space, so we're going to show that. We have a 3D printing video. We've got INMPI, new product introduction this week. It is from 3 Peak. This is brought to you by DigiKey. We've got a ton of top secret. We've got a bunch of new products. We answer your questions. We do that on Discord, adafruit.it/Discord. Post up your questions there. We also have questions that we gathered.
No, it's true. We grabbed and gathered them.
We gathered them. With a gravatar. We gathered them on the internet in advance. And then you can also post them in Discord. Just make sure you get Discord, adafruit.it/Discord or discord.gg/Adafruit. All that and more on, you guessed it,
Dun, dun, dun.
Ask an Engineer. Okay, so Ladyada, first up, the discount code is PyPico, and you get free stuff. What do they get when they start adding stuff to the cart?
Okay, if you order from the Adafruit shop, we give you free goodies, and it's in addition to getting 10% off. Wow, we just layer on the delicious frosting of discounts and free stuff. $99 or more, you get a beautiful PCB coaster that I designed with a gold Adafruit logo, and it has some bumpers to protect your desk as well. $149 or more, you get a KB2040. It's a Pro Micro pinout compatible microcontroller board with an RP2040 chip and 8 megabytes of flash and USB-C and StimQT and buttons and NeoPixels and stuff. So it's great for making projects that would normally use an Atmega now better. $199 or more, you get free UPS ground shipping in the continental United States, and $299 or more, Circuit Playground Express, our favorite all-in-one microcontroller board with LEDs, buttons, sensors, and more. It's a great way to learn microcontrollers and programming and electronics without needing any tools. Just a USB cable.
Use a
ready to
code or lose it. Okay, and this is live. You're opening up for everything, so go for it. Okay,
go. We don't have that many.
live show. We do live shows every week. So, Adafruit Live is what we call all these live shows. We just finished up the show and tell a moment ago. Show and tell is where people share and show their projects from around the world, retro stuff and more.
Glasses.
Yeah, we had, oddly enough. So you can check out what our team's doing. Scott came by with some updates to Circuit Python, which are really neat. JP showed off some retro stuff and also showed off some retro stuff. I was able to put some graphics from a project I worked on 22 years ago.
Wow.
Whew,
Yeah, I didn't know.
I am now retro.
I was not in high school then. I was in college.
Yeah, I know. But it was like such a long time ago. You were practically.
Yeah.
And I was working on this band thing for Microsoft called Press the Green Button. Also, Squid.jpg came by and showed an amazing project.
Aaron was also by with LEDs.
Aaron was by with LEDs. And we're going to show a video that Aaron did to make your own Crayola candle.
Yeah.
Anyways.
And then Squid.
And then Squid came by and had like an upgrade to our Monster Mask glasses. Yeah, it was great. It was amazing. You could store memory on it. You can use a Wii controller joystick to do different modes. There's a playground for it. So cool. So a really neat example of open source, AdaBox, being able to update your electronics the way you want.
Yeah.
Indefinitely, and then using a tool like Playgrounds, which is based on the Learn system, to show it off, and then coming on the show and tell, and then sharing it with the world.
Yay!
We do from the desk of Ladyada every single week. We do it on Sundays. As you can tell, Lamora is still sick. So this was the theme. You showed off microphone thing, and then we do the Great Search. And you also help people find things on digikey.com. What did you help people find this week?
Okay, this week, we were looking, somebody on Twitter asked me to stock an ICS 43434 super palindromic I2S microphone. And I made a breakout for them, but I also wanted to see what other I2S microphones were available on DigiKey. So we looked on the TDK InvenSense site and we got the drop on some hot new I2S microphone sensors coming out.
And then I did want to show one neat thing while you cough. So this is really neat. Person said something so nice about the Great Search. They said, and I'll zoom in, I hope you guys keep doing this series forever. I use all the tips I learned for hobby stuff as well as professionally.
Aww.
And it's just like having some cool friend you can browse DigiKey with. Thank you. What a compliment.
Who doesn't want to?
Because that's actually what you want to do. You just want to like browse DigiKey and be like, here's how you find stuff on it. Okay.
I don't have we don't have a sponsorship with McMaster-Carr, but somebody should totally have like McMaster-Carr page of the day. So and McMaster-Carr should pay them, and they should just like pick up, like open a random ass page of the catalog and just be like, what is the cool shit on this page?
What they could do is have people who either work at McMaster-Carr, like community influencers who work with McMaster-Carr, and when you go to the website, it says here's a bunch of people, here's the waiting room, and you pick a buddy, and then you just go browse the site together, and it's like, what are you into? And it's like, I'm into like pipe fittings, and it's like we're gonna go to pipe fitting section, and it's just
lots really nice gradient rendered images of pipe fittings.
That would actually fulfill the promise of the internet, where people get together and do things nice together instead of
good social media.
Instead of how it's currently used. Okay, to destroy one another. Let's go to JP's product pick of the week. We do this every single week where JP shows a product on the product page with a discount automatically applied. Take it away, JP.
It is the HX711 24-bit ADC for bridge and strain sensors. Not I2C, this is this SPI-like interface, and I'm sending power and ground to the VN and ground, and then I'm using 2 pins, I think it's D5 and D6 here, to go to the clock and data pins that are on the HX711 breakout. Then I've got my sensor wired up to the terminals, and there's 2 pins that are not used there, so I could plug in a second sensor if I needed to. Here I've got a 7/8 socket here weighing in at 55 grams roughly. I could swap that out for this big 1 1/8 socket, and this one is 209-ish grams there. The HX711 ADC for load cells and strain gauges.
All right, don't forget JP's workshop is tomorrow. JP will also be hosting show and tell next week. And then Friday, it's Deep Dive with Scott, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. You can check out show and tell for maybe a little bit of a preview. Let's do some time travel. Happy birthday to us. We turned 7, but not in the way you think. Adafruit's been around longer, but we got the automatic email that said, happy birthday, you've been on Tumblr for 7 years.
Wow.
However, that's wrong. And I updated it on the post that I did on Tumblr and on our blog. It's actually 14 years. And if you use the Wayback Machine, you can see the first time, or one of the first times we posted on Tumblr was 2010. So for some reason, I think there's a it's like dog years or something. So for every 7 Tumblr years, it's actually 14 real years. But we were doing Tumblr like way back in the day because we moved David Karp in New York City. So we had a Tumblr with Adafruit stuff, and it was like whatever was on our blog and some other things. So our Adafruit Tumblr is 14 years old. So a little bit of a celebration. Tumblr is one of the independent places that people publish online. We like it there. It's weird. So if you like Tumblr, you can just add Adafruit there. Tech NYC, we're a member, getting some more news things out there. We were in their newsletter today, which is kind of a big deal for us because usually it's startups that are getting like buckets of funding and AI and Paul Graham talking about founder stuff. But this was about a little Adafruit, and they had a note about us that we moved to our new factory. Thank you, Tech NYC, for including us. It means that we just have more space to do lots of different things, like the following. We're going to have a floppy gallery. It's going to be a physical space and an online space where people can see a collection by Adafruit, and one day we'll make sure the collection goes to someone after we're dead, of floppy disks. So there'll be things on the floppy disks, and there'll be floppy disks that are historic in some way. And we have a pretty big collection. We're deciding on what logo. You can vote in the chat right now. This is logo 1, floppy disk gallery. This is logo 2, floppy disk gallery. Little picture of,
This is my favorite.
Yeah.
Don't let that bias you.
Yeah, it probably will. And then the floppy disk gallery. So we will have a virtual version of this online for people to see. And then since we can possibly have visitors now, the other space we weren't really set up for that. With this one, we possibly will be able to do it. And it'll be a trip through memory lane of floppy disks and more. And we're also going to have and you haven't seen these yet, Ladyada. We're going to have a keyboard museum because we have like 100+ retro keyboards in all sorts of weird Galapagos Island style way that have never actually seen the light of day besides a very small number of users. These keyboards are so weird. So keyboard museum, we'll see.
I like this one.
Yeah,
I like the return.
I like this one.
That one's good too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I'm a sucker for that font, but yeah.
Yeah. So vote which one you like the best out of these. I'll maybe put a poll up somewhere too. But it'll be online. Don't worry. And it'll also be in person. Let's do some Python on hardware. Okay. Big news in the world of Python this week.
Remember we wanted 1,000 stars. That was when we hit the Pyport and we're like, we need 1,000 stars.
Yeah. So
you can see there's like a little bump.
Yeah. So we are on GitHub with CircuitPython, and the project, and how a lot of people measure successes of a project is like, do people hit stars? So you could see what we've been doing over the years here, and pretty nice. And one of the things I did was I decided, let me use some like data analysis tools to figure out like what's going on. And so what I did was I used ChatGPT, and I pair programmed with it, and you can see, we have the stars, the dates, and everything. But the editor's note here, if you go to the blog post, it took 8 years for us to get to 4,000 stars. And it did an analysis and it said after you hit 1,000 stars, it really accelerated. And that's probably because the project became popular. And then it had steady growth after that. So it just means that people really enjoy using CircuitPython. They're contributing. There's no big drops. Just positive indicator that people are interested in it. And so I'm like, hey, let's do a prediction of how long it'll take to get to 5,000 stars. So maybe August of 2026 we'll get to 5,000 stars, but we get there faster if you go to GitHub and hit start. Yeah.
Thanks.
So check it out. And we try to do these historic graphs and more, not only for our community, but for us. It's like, hey, is this working out? Was there something we did during certain times where more people were involved? What can we do more of? So anyways, you can check out the Python on Microcontrollers newsletter. Ladyada, there was one question that we got in advance, and you can probably answer this now. It's in our newsletter a little bit. So newsletter and did an amazing job this week, but there's one thing going on in the RP2350 world. There's a pin latching issue. What does this mean? Because a lot of people don't even understand, what does this potential issue mean? Like what's it like a translation?
So the thing is, it's not going to affect a lot of people, but if you're affected, you're like, hey, I'm affected. So basically, there's some issue latch up with the pin pad where if you have a light pull up, or so if you have any kind of pull up, sorry, if it was a pull down, if you have
latch up and pinhole, what do those mean?
Yeah, so I think there was a link to it. I'm also a little sick, so I'm not gonna really get into a deep conversation.
Yeah.
The effect is if you have a pull up on a pin and then you remove that pull up, like literally remove it, and then you try to lightly pull down that pin, it will not like solely sync to 0 as it should. You actually need to put a fairly strong pull down. I think it was like a 4.7K or smaller resistor to pull down that pin and release the internal latch that keeps that output, like the totem pole output, activated. I don't know the reason for it, but I think Raspberry Pi Foundation is looking into it, and they'll maybe give us some hints. But basically, it will only affect you if you're working with something that you have to like mimic an open drain situation, or you're moving between pull-ups, outputs, and inputs kind of quickly. So like one thing when I heard this, I was like, oh, I bet touch screens are affected. If you're talking to a resistive touch screen where you basically had like set one pin to be low, one pin to be high, and then you have an input and you read it and it's got this kind of like resistor ladder, and then you release it and you maybe do a pull-up. You're like playing little games with like the pull-ups and the pull-downs and this resistive object, this resistive touch screen. You'll be affected. You might also be affected if you're doing things like simulating I2C, or if you are doing like a bit banged one wire, anything where you're doing like kind of open drainy type things might be affected. You're not going to be affected if you're just using it to drive LEDs or do digital input or output. Even button presses, you're not really going to be affected. And if you think you might be, just use whatever pull down you have on your board. Just make sure it's 4.7K.
Yeah.
Or less.
So we'll cover
4.3K.
Yeah, there's a lot of people are poking at this, and we'll cover it as it goes. But basically, if you know, you know. Like I feel like it's one of those things.
If you
like
know it, you can easily work around it. It's not a big deal.
If this is your jam, you already know about it. So anyways, I hope that was helpful for folks.
And it's a new chip, so it's like nobody's designed any boards with it yet. So if you were designing with it, it's mostly, I think it's good to know, because if you design with it and you bump into this issue, you're like, oh, it's not me. I just have to like pick a different resistor value. And like having worked with chips like the SAMD51 and the ESP32, like all chips have issues. As long as you know them, you can usually work around them. This is, compared to many other chips, this is not a big deal.
Okay. So check out the newsletter. You can see other RP 2350 news because it's new. There's a neat link, you can see it decapped and like look at its innards, and then check out all of the projects and more. Lots of neat stuff going on in the world of Python on hardware. And the newsletter is one of the best places. Join tens of thousands of people who read this every week. It is delivered free to your inbox every single week, spam free. You can get it on GitHub, or you can get it on our blog, or you can get it in email, or you can get it as an RSS feed. However you want to get it, adafruitdaily.com is your first stop. Okay, let's do some open source hardware news and more.
Yeah.
I released my article last week about trying to add some crediting when you use, or let's say you're doing open source hardware and you're using one of the large language models or Copilot or Cursor or whatever the flavor of the week is for AI code pairing. So if you're doing open source, I think, and this is probably, I'm probably in a very small number because I don't know if there's going to be interest yet. I think this is too weird to know. But I think that there's a good reason to say, here's what I did with AI for the code that I'm going to put under an open source license for this electronics.
Yeah.
So the idea is you link to the model, the prompts in the best ways you can. Now that I've talked to some other people, I think my particular angle on this is very documentation heavy. Like, I want to give someone in the future all of the information. So if they ever want to study or modify open source hardware, they have everything. I think there's not a lot of people like you who are pair programming with AI, who deliver hundreds, or actually no, thousands of open source hardware, and your goal is for someone to study, modify, and share. So that's why if there's just practitioners, they're like, well, I'm not going to use this because I just want the thing. So I think this is, if you're teaching people how to do something, this is useful. But we are.
I'd rather give more than necessary. I mean, I don't think it's,
and I also think there's a little bit of like a sheepish, like, yeah, I just don't want to say that I'm using AI. So I think it's being used more than people are admitting, and it's being used in coding environments. And we think you should credit it, but we'll see. So anyways, you can check out my article and more. I don't know what's going to happen with it. I've the OSI, they're doing open source definition for open source. They acknowledged my addition, but their feedback was, well, this is very specific for whatever language model you're using. We're looking for something big, and I actually don't think that'll ever be possible. I don't think there's going to be one general term that covers all the ways. So I'm like, whatever you're documenting, it's kind of like there's friction with open source hardware when people said, well, some people are going to use EagleCAD, some people are going to use Altium, some people are going to use KiCad. We should say, no, you only can use one tool that's open source. It's like, well, that's never going to work out. So it's like, put your files up in whatever format you made them with. I kind of feel like just credit the AI you're using at the time. Anyways, so that's it. Okay, cool. Next up, we have some Adafruit learning system updates. If you're a fan of the learning system, go to learn.adafruit.com. There's always something going on there, but there's 3,000 plus tutorials, and we have new things. We have widescreen mode, we have alerts, we have all sorts of
just a cleanup of the interface.
Yeah, we have all sorts of different ways for you to and I guess when we go to learn, I could show later, but anyways, it's better. It has more features. We're going to add stuff from playgrounds into it. So do check out the Learn system. And then speaking of Ladyada, why don't we go over to Learn and you talk about the latest Learn guides?
Yeah, some new guides. Okay.
This week.
So we JP did a guide for his USB-C power delivery and monitor. What I like about this is we use a Feather, and it doesn't use Wi-Fi, just we just like to has the screen and then the buttons. But not only can you see and select which voltage you want from the PD, but it will also monitor the amount of current, which this is what I think is really useful, because there's a lot of like USB-C dummy boards that will provide like the 20 volts or 12 volts from a USB-C power supply, but there aren't, I haven't seen any yet that tell you how much current is being drawn as well. So this is good for also analyzing the power usage of your project. And Erin did a project making a Crayola scented candle. You'll show off that video in a moment. And then Liz, she finished this a week ago, but I finally finished making the ESP32 C6 feather guide live. So if you have a C6 feather, you can get started with Arduino or CircuitPython.
Okay. And then the special treat I mentioned in the beginning of the show and on Show and Tell, we have a video from Erin where you can learn how to make a Crayola crayon smelling candle. Take it away, Erin.
Love the smell of crayons? Make your own Crayola scented candle by melting your favorite crayon colors into a glass jar. Remove the labels from your crayons and melt the wax in Dixie cups immersed in hot water. I use twine as my wick, but any burnable cotton string will work. Saturate it in wax and give it a twist. Secure the wick in place with some tape or a clothespin. Pour your melted wax in one layer at a time and let each layer set up a bit before you pour the next one. Fill your home with the delicious scent of Crayola.
Alrighty, and then you can go to Adafruit Playgrounds. It's linked on Learn, and you can see some of the latest and greatest there. This week, we have the LED pixel mapping with WLED and LED Labs. That's from Erin, unboxing 10-year-old home theater PC, and showed that off in Show and Tell. The Highway 12 band SFX machine, and more. And also has a cool laptop project, air quality monitor for the Feather RP2040. And then, of course, what we talked about from squid.jpg, the Sparkle Specs firmware for Adafruit LED glasses.
Yeah.
So if you want to make your own guides, you can on Adafruit Playgrounds.
Free, no ads. There's no ad blocker. This is what it looks like. It's just totally awesome.
Run your tracker on it. See what happens. Nothing, because we're not tracking you.
Yeah.
You also
track on. You'll notice. There's no tracking or nothing.
Also, don't need to log in to see all the steps and all that. I don't.
That's right. Oh, no, I hate when it's like when you're browsing and halfway through, it pops up a modal. And
do you want the most important information? Please
give us your email. No, don't need to.
All right, here is a little bit of our factory footage. We just painted a mural. World premiere this. I don't know. I think I showed it somewhere, but if I did, sorry. But if I didn't, enjoy.
Well, see it again.
Yeah. That's video from our new home and more in Industry City, Brooklyn, New York. It's pretty printing time. Noah and Pedro return next week. For this week, we have a speed up. Take it away, Pedro. Don't forget the code is PIPICO. You get all this free stuff. And this week, of course, while supplies last, these are in the store and the code works on them. Let's go to on NPI.
On NPI.
Hi, on NPI, brought to you by DigiKey and Adafruit. This week it is 3Key. Ladyada, what is the new product introduction of the week this week?
Okay, I'm excited because we've never covered Three Peak before, and this is an East Asian company, and we don't usually get to see their products, their chip company products featured on DigiKey, but DigiKey did feature them, and I thought it'd be cool to check out because I think this is kind of like the beginning of a new future for American engineers, where we're going to have a lot more options for silicon vendors, not just like the big, like now three, because it's like Maxim, Analog, Trinamic, and Linear, all like one company, TI and Linear, and TI and not Linear Tech, but LM, National Semi. Also merged quite a while ago, and of course, so many other mergers. It's good to see small companies coming in.
Opportunities,
good opportunities for engineers to check out. So this week we're going to be looking at the Three Peak TPS 4056B series. Although I'll mention there's also the A series. This is a simple chip. It's just your bog standard single linear lithium ion, lithium polymer battery charger for 4.2 volt batteries. In of itself, the technology isn't like amazing and new. It's kind of standard, except one nice thing is you have up to 10 volt input, which is kind of nice. So if you happen to have a 6 or 7 or 8 volt power supply, note it's linear, so it's not like you're going to be able to get a full amp out at that voltage, but at least it's protected. It's not going to blow up. Temperature monitoring through NTC. A couple other things like trickling, no external components, 2 LEDs, easy to solder package. Again, standard usage, 8-pin connector. You kind of connect the battery up. There's no current sense, but it does do internal current limiting. Standby, which is charging complete, is like a green LED. Charging is maybe yellow LED. There's a chip enable, which is kind of rare. A temperature monitor inputs, and then a prog pin for the current setting. You can do up to 1 amp, just not too bad. Again, you'll probably get that from a 5 volt input. 1 second. Using it, like I said, pretty standard. The only thing that's new is a chip enable. I haven't seen that on most simple li-poly charger chips. One thing I did like was not only is there over voltage and under voltage protection, but also there's actually reverse polarity protection as well, which is kind of nice. So if you plug in the battery backwards, it doesn't get damaged. Yeah, this is a short circuit and reverse polarity protection. Temperature monitor is pretty standard. You usually use a 10K NTC. They give you values for that, but if you have a different value built into your battery, you can do that as well. The battery short circuit is particularly in reverse. That's a common thing. People use reverse connected JST batteries with some more products and end up popping the battery charger. Okay. There's a couple variations of the TPB 4056. There's the B and the A series. While we're featuring the B series, I do want to call out the A series, especially the A20DFGR, which is available in a very cute 2x2 millimeter DFA, which I like because it can easily replace SOT23 sized li-poly chargers. This one is also 1 amp. It doesn't have the NTC capability, but otherwise it's pretty much the same. It does have the 2 LEDs, and it doesn't have power path, but again, it's very inexpensive, and it does have fairly high voltage input. What I like is it's not identical, but it's very similar to the MCP73. I think this is the 833, which is one of our first battery charger chips that we've ever we made a breakout board for. And what I like is like the pricing comparison. So the MCP 73833, and this is a great chip, don't get me wrong. I love this chip from Microchip, but even in high quantity, it's like 88 cents. Whereas if you go here, you see the pricing for these in quantity, they're like 20 cents. So, you know, a 50, 60 cent reduction in the bill of material is a fair amount for one chip. And, you know, if these chips can do the job for you, that could be a really easy way to reduce the pricing. You know, I'm definitely looking at our feather layouts, and, you know, we've been using the MCP 733, sorry, MCP 73H31, which is a SOT 23 chip. But if I can replace it with that DFN version, again, like it's significantly less expensive. It doesn't take any more bill of material space. And compare the price 20 cents versus 60 cents, a 40-cent reduction in price pretty much pays for the battery monitoring chip I use to keep the quiescent current low. So I'm definitely going to try out this series, especially that DFN model.
And available on DigiKey, of course.
Yeah, and it's in stock. So check it out. You know, at a few, if you only buy a couple, it's like 60, 70 cents. But once you get down to a real, 22 cents is a really good deal, especially since it does a full amp, and I like all the extras it has. Chip enable reverse polarity protection.
All right, good work. And that is this week's item PI.
On MPI.
Alrighty, don't forget the code is PiPico, 10% in the store, free stuff. Also, some Raspberry Pi stuff. Let's do some new products.
New.
First up,
Updated product. We've been stocking these NeoPixel breakout boards for quite a while. They got a little bit of a respin. We can't get these in the originals. Use WS2812S chips, which are like not really available anymore. Nobody uses them. So we updated these to use the SK6812. The big difference is now they have 4 pin. You know, the chip has 4 pins, and you can't use up to 9-volt input. They're actually limited to 6-volt. So you can't use higher voltages like the 6 to, you know, if you happen to be powering your project from 6 to 9, you can't do that anymore. But what I do like is that they're much more stable. Like they're less flaky. They're more reliable against errant voltage spikes. Like they don't like burn out as easily. And they're okay with 3.3 volt signal level, which the WS28 11 was not as good at. So also you get 5 now instead of 4 because it's cheaper to get the new chips. So altogether, pretty much the same thing, but better and less expensive.
next up,
We also have some ding and dent. We got a whole bunch of these 20-page SMD storage booklets, and they have like a little cracking, see at the bottom there, or they have a little scuff or something. They work totally fine, but if you're, you know, we don't want to sell.
you're gonna get them scuffed up anyways. You may as well save some money.
Yeah, so you basically put them in the shelf for like a couple bucks. Great for storing your 8mm tape components.
Okay, next up.
Next up, we've got 2 of these like multi-protocol USB to serial converters. One comes as a cable, and then we also have one that comes as a like plug-in thing.
That's cool.
They're basically the same, but one is a cable and one is plug-in. So if you go to like this image, you can let's see what it is. Okay. So this is USB. You plug into USB-A.
One has a cable already in it.
One has a cable.
Got it.
One has a plug.
Yeah.
Same. Otherwise, it's identical as it. And what I like about this is it gives you all of the protocols, except you can only use one. There's only one USB serial converter chip inside. It's actually the FT231X, which is great because it's a, you know, kind of a modern RS232, FT232 chip. So on the right-hand side, you get RS232, so that's 8 signals, including ground, so it's 9 total pins of, data in, data out, RTS, CTS, ring, DTR, DSR, DCD. So like all the RS-232 signals you need, from a DE9, those are plus minus about 8-volt DC. So they're properly level shifted. On the left-hand top side, you have TTL signals. This is 0 to 5 volts. That's what you use to program a microcontroller or an Arduino or an ESP or whatever. And those are, you get 5-volt power, 3.3-volt power, which is good for like 50 milliamps or so, RX and TX and ground, and those are 5-volt logic level, although the RX can probably handle 3-volt just fine. The FT231X is pretty flexible about that. And then at the bottom left is the RS45422, and that uses a max 485 converter chip to convert the RX and TX into differential signals. Those are good for long distance signaling. I think DMX also uses RS45. So altogether, you can pick and choose. You want plus minus 8-volt, use the RS232. Want TTL level, use the TTL level. You need to talk to 485, use the 45. All have turbo blocks, so you don't need to do any soldering. Just use Phillips, open it up, and connect your
And you can get
wires.
a cable if you want.
You got a cable. The cable has
not?
USB A or C, and what I like about the this one, the plug-in one, is it's a flippable USB.
Ooh.
So no matter what, you'll have the LEDs.
It won't take 3 times.
It
Okay.
won't take 3 times. You'll see the LEDs and the labels no matter what. So
Years of your life will be saved.
just a good little tool, especially the little plug-in one. I think if you're doing any kind of like network work, if you're like doing field analysis or debugging, or you're doing like music or audio, video, whatever, have one of these handy because you can just quickly attach, wire stuff up, and debug it with ease.
Yeah. All right. Next up.
Next up, we have some half height GTMX switches. These are MX key switch compatibles, but they're shorter. They're 3 millimeters shorter, which is like, you're like, how's that half the height? But well, the height that's half is the above the switch.
Yeah.
It's like whatever. So instead of being like 10 millimeters above, it's 7 millimeters above, but it's, kind of noticeable.
Clicky click.
They're very, it's a nice reduction in height, but they're completely MX compatible. So you can use them anywhere. Use MX switches.
I put the light on there. That's all right. Okay. We'll turn it off. Yeah, it's okay. So you know how you turn that display off, by the way? You pinch and zoom afterwards. So do that and then hit the light and then go like,
oh,
yeah, and that goes away.
nice. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is a comparison. This is your standard MX switch, compatible, and then this is the half height. So it is shorter, but you can use all the same keycaps. It's got that standard X shaped keycap top with the little supports, and it plugs into sockets, and then you can still have light shine through. There's a little translucent area here, so you're good to go. No matter what you want to use it for. And these are the black linear, so they're not clicky. They're kind of like straight forward, much like the Kale blacks.
All right. The
Times 12.
star of the show tonight, besides you, Ladyada, our team, our customers, our community, and everyone who makes this thing go. And of course, the people who show and share the things that are important to them.
The Pikachu
Pikachu!
is in stock. And we showed this off a couple weeks ago, but we didn't actually have them, but we got them.
Got them.
We bagged them up. They're in the store. You want them. I just put in 100. I think that hopefully we still have a few left over. Let me check real fast.
Check. We're gonna check and see if we have a chance. Well, I don't know. Maybe it depends.
Shop.
Yeah.
You click on what's new. And then scroll down. Oh yeah, we have 72.
Okay, there's 72 left, folks.
You can get them,
72.
and you can get 2 per customer because I want to, you can get
Yeah.
the backup.
And there's a discount for them. This is crazy.
And you get 10% off.
What?
Save a buck.
What? What? Okay, so
Right.
why should someone get one of these?
Okay, it's twice as fast as the RP2040. It's been compatible. CircuitPython runs on it. MicroPython runs on it. There's Arduino support now. 150 megahertz dual core M33 processor with floating point unit. Also RISC-V Hazard 3 cores if you want them. Twice as much RAM, about like 512K of RAM, which is awesome. and new HSTX peripheral, 50% more PIO, all around better,
Great reasons.
bigger,
Okay,
faster.
so they're in the store. They're going to go fast, probably by the next few minutes. So
Yeah.
go ahead and get them. That is new products of the week this
New.
week.
New, 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 new.
Okay, here's what's going to happen next. We're going to show you the code, and then we're going to do top secret. While we're doing top secret, post up your questions in Discord. We have some lined up. Ladyada is going to cough once in a while, and then we're going to do the questions. And we're going to go, and we're going to give you some NyQuil, and then you're going to wake up and do more engineering tomorrow. So let's jump over to the
NyQuil, you giant effing Q.
Okay, we've got like 9 top secrets. What's this?
Well, these are some of these are old. You can catch up. So this is a simple WS2811 breakout board. So if you want to like DIY a NeoPixel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's 2 in a row. What's this?
Okay, and then this and the next one are the soil sensors that I'm gonna get back into.
We have plants.
Yeah, we have plants now, and also Carter, who's working with me
Yeah,
on
plants.
this, went on an amazing magical journey through the mountains and is back now.
Good plants. So we have a plant because we have an apartment that we can have a plant at. Okay.
Yeah.
Next up.
This was I tried to get the DS, was it 2243 or something working, and I couldn't get it working. It's kind of sucked. And then I was like, well, maybe I'll try the TPA 6130. So this is an I2C stereo amplifier that will drive headphones from differential audio input, but it's like, you know, fairly good, like 16 ohm, whatever, 8 ohm, 16, maybe 32 ohm drive. And you can control the volume over I2C.
Next up.
This is like a center mount USB-C breakout. So it's like the USB-C breakout we have now, but you see the USB-C is like sunken. I thought that'd be kind of cool to try out.
What's this?
We had a request for an ICS 4343, now my favorite part number microphone. Luckily it's the same pinout as the SPH we already have, so I just swapped them and I changed the screen.
What's this?
And then this is the other side of that same thing. And then this is that DS4420. I keep trying to get this working and I can't quite get this chip working very well. It's like the audio quality is not very good.
All right.
And then this is we covered this chip on like the Great Search like 2 years ago, and I'm finally getting around to making a breakout for it. It's a segment LCD driver. We're going to use this chip in a future project as soon as Liz and I are no longer coughing a lot. So I thought I'd make a breakout. So this will be good for people who want to do LCD, like raw LCD driving.
That's top secret. More ahead. Watch us all week on social media. We're posting up as we do things. Okay, like I said, here's a code. We got some questions lined up. Let's do the questions to get you out here.
Okay.
Questions.
Okay, Ladyada, first up, are there any plans in the works to support multi-page playgrounds? Yeah, we're working on stuff.
We're always adding more. We wanted to start out easy, but if we see great playground notes, we're going to be inspired.
We already have 300. Question, is the Pico 2 pin compatible with the original Pico, Doubler, and Cowbells work with both?
Now I have Pico 2s. I'll actually go through and try them all, but they should all work. In fact, when I designed all those, it's because I knew the Pico 2 was coming and I wanted to have some cool peripherals and stuff to work on them.
Did you keep mostly the same layout in New Space as the old one, or did this was it an opportunity to completely redo the manufacturing layout?
Completely redone.
Completely redone.
Completely redone.
Optimized for even more speed.
Wow.
So yeah.
Yeah. It's great.
We'll have more videos and stuff, but you saw one today.
Yeah.
Will the DVI stock for Pico, product ID 5957, work with the new RP 2350?
Yes, it should. I mean, yes, we've tried it, I think.
So, how do I do the battery percentage on a Memento camera? Do you have any links for them to look at if you wanted to figure out the battery percentage in the Memento?
The Memento, I think, uses a resistor divider. It doesn't have a battery monitor. So I don't have there's probably, if you Google for or ask ChatGPT to give you a voltage to percentage converter, it'll give you a rough idea. It won't be like to the 1%, but it'll give you like 10, 20,
okay.
50, 80.
Are you excited about Bluetooth 6.0, and how soon do you think it'll be until we see them in microcontrollers?
I'm still catching up to 5. I don't even know what's up with 6.
Yeah. I saw on I still read Slashdot. I saw on Slashdot, I think it was like Bluetooth 6 is out, and I have a reminder for me to look at all the things it's promising.
I mean, they keep trying to get rid of Bluetooth Classic and like they're not quite succeeding, which I find fascinating. Like IPv4, it just won't go away.
Let me check for some other questions in the other chats because I got to get you out of here to medicate you.
Yeah.
Someone recently bought an RP2040 from DigiKey. They love it. Folks are looking forward to the USB thing where it does the right thing, no matter how you put it in. And I believe, Lady Ada, you are done with questions.
Yay.
That's right.
Does that question?
That's our show, everybody.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Don't forget the code is by Pico. Your orders support us. We have no loans, no venture capital. We just moved to a factory so we could make more electronics for all of you. We're sticking to doing open source forever. So the only way we could do that is if you buy stuff once in a while. So please do.
And send in your requests. I'm getting to people's requests.
And you post your questions on social media. We'll have more and more places for people to do that so we can get your questions all throughout the week and then including the ones on the live show.
Also, that means if you can't make it to the show because you've got a job or childcare, or whatever, or you're asleep, or it's like
I'm going to squeeze one last question in. Are you going to have single dot star LEDs?
Probably not. I mean, people don't really ask for them that much.
Okay.
But think about it.
With that being said, this has been an Adafruit production. Here is your moment of Zener. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.